It was 6 years ago, right? So.
Yeah, that's when I was working at UGM, photographing the neighborhood a lot, and there were, you know, it was always really polarizing being outside with the camera, so people in the neighborhood would either be really excited to see a camera and want to talk to you about photography and wanting to get creative and having lots of energy and want to spend time doing that, and then you connected with UGM and wanted to volunteer and do some photography, and Photo 101 really came out of, you know, you coming for one meeting, and we just had about an hour together sitting around going, okay, what if we did this? And what if we tried this? And what if we did this? It was really just this collaborative brainstorm of, okay, what can we get our hands on? What tools can we try? What have we always wanted to do? So when Photo 101 started, you know, we were really anxious about, you know, getting enough people together who would want to do this, being committed to coming once a week and, you know, hanging out with us and, you know, kind of following up along the progression. And so, you know, lots of great community members came together, and, you know, people who are working through alcohol and drug recovery program, and people who were working with the Women and Children's facility.
And we started using these Holga cameras, which I'd always wanted to try. I'd never actually used them before. And they're just these plastic cameras that shoot 120 film. And they got a plastic lens, and they have a certain look to them. And we started using those, and that was the beginning of it.
Yeah, and the thing that was perfectly imperfect about them is they broke down all the time, and they would create all these mistakes. And
yeah, that was cool.
Was what made them cool.
But what was neat for me was the way that we were taking pictures. It wasn't a technical thing. It was more artistic. It's like, what can we get out of these things? But it was more about, you know, what are you taking pictures of? What's your vision here? And the students really warmed up to that and really did a great job. And we were truly amazed by what they came up with, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Some of our very first participants, like Liam, he was, you know, part of our very first group.
I sobered up in a program about 5 years ago, and through that program I was introduced to Photo 101, and I joined Photo 101, and it was like a life-changing experience for me, because I realized for the first time in my life that I could admire these artists, but I could also be one of them. I turned 60, and I find this brand new life. It's like that hole that was left in my life without the alcohol has suddenly been filled with something much better.
He's been able to come back in subsequent years and kind of mentor other people.
Yeah, that's right.
Trying it for the first time.
I think we've had several people that have done that mentoring over the years. So in regards to our participants this year, they were not from UGM specifically. They were from the community, and they must have been vetted well, because they all had some talent, and we ended up getting great work once again.
My name's Liam, and my whole life I've had a real profound love of the arts. What do I want to do this year? The same thing I did the year before, and the year before that is hang around with other people making these images.
My name is Loretta. I'm from the Carrier Nation of Prince George. I've been here in Vancouver for 6 years now. At the end of September will be my 5 years in my sobriety.
Well, my name is Sammy. I'm from Northwestern Ontario, and once was a heavy-duty mechanic. I've traveled all of Western Canada for work.
My name is Corey Lemieux. I grew up in Golden, BC. I just like people. I like interacting. I like being out there. Life is a good thing, so you gotta live it.
My name is William Alex Watts. My traditional name is Ach Guwatkum Gebu, and it means wolf never lost, always participating, always involved.
I want to learn more, I want to grow, I want to diversify. Having had the experience once, to be able to give it a clean slate excites the hell out of me.
Participants were all, you know, from various walks of life, lots of different backgrounds, and lots of, you know, really fabulous stories from these different life experiences.
It was, absolutely, yeah.
And then once you see that interpreted in how they see what's around them, when you get the film back and start reviewing everyone's work, it's like, you know, you get to hear about the influence, but then kind of see it as it's translated. And
Especially in Alex's case, he really saw that, right? Because he would explain how his view of nature and stuff would influence the way he took pictures, which was cool. So right now we're going to be set on N. We have enough light for N.
STRATHCONA is a really special spot in Vancouver, and especially that time of year because we had all these cherry blossoms blooming, and so lots of great natural colors, and you have all these heritage homes with great colors and different colored trim, and you know, it's very unique.
It's the old East End, right? And just walking through it, you can feel that the spirit, you know, that you don't see these big fences and, you know, these gates or anything. It's just a community setting.
I lived in that neighborhood 20 years ago, and it's grown up a lot since then. It's very diverse now. There's a lot of artists have moved in there, so they've done some amazing work to just the neighborhood in general.
Tree's got a story, I see it.
Yeah?
See up there, be able to just sit there and relax. And
I love texture and color, and that neighborhood's a colorful, texturing neighborhood, and it's just really interesting that way. And just the diversity of the people that live there makes it so interesting as well. So, you know, that's what I truly love about the area, for sure.
Hopefully that's the shot. See, with digital, you know right away.
I wasn't paying attention to where everybody was. I was in the zone.
For a second there.
Hey, where's everybody?
You look around, I'm like, where am I?
I got carried away, in a good way.
In a good way, oh, that's good.
The last picture I took was a long exposure. So like just learning how to see like the moving cars and using the lights, right? And it was really, I found it really exciting. It's like, wow, I can't wait for next week to get my film and see how it all turned out, right?
I can really remember vividly, we went out that first night shooting. We kind of had this sense of accomplishment to like get to that point, to get everyone gathering. And so we shot those first rolls of film, and I remember everyone being so excited, and we labeled them and put them into Rocket Repro and got them, you know, scanned and loaded digitally so we could review them the next week.
So the processing of film hasn't really changed since it was introduced. Obviously, color was a big change, but the basic thing remained the same. A series of chemical baths changed the latent image, captured and emulsion into a solid image on a transparent base. Once you have a negative, you can do one thing with it. You can make prints from it. Nowadays, obviously, people don't just want prints. Matter of fact, we want less prints than they ever did before. So what we've added into our process for film-based photographers is we'll take your negative and we'll scan it, which means we'll basically shoot it again with a digital camera, in this case set up as a scanner that allows us to create digital images, which we can then print from still. But more importantly, we can then give it to the client or photographer so that they can use it to display on screens, which is how most imagery is being distributed these days. Oof. Now, those are some good-looking exposures. You know, there's more photos taken now than there's ever been taken cumulatively throughout history. This year, there's more photos taken on iPhoto than have ever been taken previously. So the scanning technology allows us to take the old-school photographers and people who like the effects of the film, but still allow them to work within the same space that all the other photographers are going in the city right now, or in the world, I should say.
And then we started reviewing the images, remember? Like just seeing what these students had produced for the first time.
You know what I like about this kind of shot though? This is, you got the flower there, but it's not like a typical flower shot, right? It's got some character to it. It's not just like, oh, this is a pretty flower picture. It's different. It's got some edge to it. So, yeah.
You know, the flower almost pops out, almost three-dimensional too. If you look at it, right? Yeah. It almost pops out and floats in front of the picture.
Oh wow, this is really. Yeah.
My thing is, I'm trying to figure out where it is. Where is that?
It's STRATHCONA.
Yeah.
We didn't have to show them a lot. They just picked it up really quickly and came out with some dynamite stuff. So.
Yeah, and I remember you specifically telling everyone, like, we could make an art show just of our first roll. Every single student had at least one shot on their roll that was, you know, like, should be hung in a gallery. Yeah. What's always really special for me, and it definitely happened that class where we were reviewing everyone's film for the first time, it's like if the whole group gasped at the same time or had this sense of wonder or awe, it was like, oh,
that's nice. That is cool. That's way cool.
Everyone could feel it. It was like this sense of like, oh, we totally get what you're trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, or what moved you in that moment to take that photo. And for me, specifically, it was one of Loretta's first times, right? It was her first roll of film, and there's this really distinct image.
Oh, that worked out really cool, man.
That's weird. That's wild.
To me, I wasn't really impressed, but when everybody else was telling me about my pictures, it made me feel a lot better.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Very nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's cool.
Tones.
I didn't think it'd turn out, but I'm actually really happy it did. For myself, you know, like I'm harder on myself, but when you hear it from the rest of the class, it was really nice. It was really good. It made me feel a lot better.
Do you guys know about double exposures? These things you have to advance each frame. So you just leave it, you take the picture, then you go and you take another picture without advancing the film. That's what happens.
But you can do 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter.
That would be so.
And get some really great effects.
These cameras are way different from the ones that I used, and so I don't know what the result is going to be. Or like if I snapped it long enough, or if I snapped it too fast, or whatever the case was. And it all turned out good, fine anyway, so either way there's beauty in it. I think I was inside the tree, I was trying to take pictures, and that's what...
Wow.
That's cool.
That's very cool.
I've just been an enthusiastic kind of, you know, champion of it. I don't think I taught that much. I think Andrew's been doing more of the teaching now.
Yeah.
And but it seems like we didn't need to. I mean, it was like they all had some kind of artistic ability that seemed to really work well with what we were doing. So
The second class we focused on what kind of canvas we're playing with. So how we all have, we're looking through a viewfinder, and our canvas is really this negative. And in the case of the Holgas, we have a square, right?
Which is fun
we're
to work with.
shooting medium format film. So we really looked at how we could arrange objects or people or landscapes within this square,
within this frame. So RAILTOWN, that's where I first started taking pictures, was down in the RAILTOWN area. And so to go back there with the students this time, and actually every time we've done this, there's this peacefulness to the place that's just amazing to me. I mean, it's in the middle of the city, and there's this peace there. Yeah,
I really enjoy RAILTOWN because it has this real industrial feeling. You know, railroad tracks and the cranes and the shipping containers. So there's all this great color and texture and lines there. But then you look at it and it contrasts with the North Shore Mountains, and it's just really spectacular.
Especially at sunset, which is when we're doing there. So, you know, we've been blessed this year with great weather the whole time I think we were doing it. So
to me, it was an adventure because, for one, I'm a monkey, so I went up all different kinds of places, and you know, I held myself back too. I let everybody get ahead because I get easily distracted, so I didn't want to get distracted on this. For me, when it comes to Crab Park and what it is or what it could be for me, is I find it very personal here. Because like here, this is my sanctuary. So whenever I'm stressed or I don't know what to say or you know, I'm confused or lost, you know, everybody has somewhere they go. That's where I put my book. That's where I put my brushes right here.
Yeah.
Put my water right there. And I paint every day. Every morning. This is all like, this is where I sit. I paint all the time right here.
No, we're already unlocked. There. It's okay. No, that's fine. Go ahead, pull it. It's like a Band-Aid. Okay. Wrap it around.
No.
Did you ever have Snap-on toys models when you were a kid? Do you remember those?
The Kinder Surprise.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they snap on.
Roll number 2.
And then we had my friend David Duchemin came down and did a talk as well. He's a well-known photographer and educator, and he was inspirational to the group, which was cool. And he was inspired by the group, actually.
My name's David. I don't know what I have to teach you because that was some pretty spectacular stuff. That was, I'm gonna leave here and go home and be very inspired by it. Really gorgeous. I mean, I teach photography all over the world, and I see a lot of photographs. There was some really great stuff in there. I mean, like stuff I would put on my wall, and I don't put other photographers on my wall. So I want to talk to you about vision, and for now, my advice is forget the camera. You have the luxury that you don't have much to work with, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a liability. It's a good thing. You're starting with your vision. You're starting with, what do I feel about these things and these places? And you've shown me parts of Vancouver that I've forgotten to look at for a long time. What kind of blew my mind is that everyone was responding emotionally to all these out of focus, imperfect photographs that a lot of my students would look at as mistakes and chuck. And frankly, the images that came up that were perfectly focused, they didn't get as much oohs and ahs. So perfection is overrated. Your vision, your passion, what you put into the photograph as an artist, that's everything. And you can do that from the moment you pick up a camera.
Well, the thing I think that I learned about photography in general is that the most important part of the camera is the guy taking the picture. Yeah, the photographer, yeah.
Gastown is a forever changing place. I mean, probably 6 years ago it was a lot different than it is today, and it's become much more upscale, and there's lots of new restaurants and lots of people down there. So it's actually a really neat unique place to take pictures, and with the cobblestone streets and the steam clock, which I think we've had several amazing pictures.
What's that with the picture?
So they caught my eyeball, so I figured I'd pick it up and took a look. Fabulous, man. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is there for a reason. He said, wait up. So I waited, and here we go. And here's what I found. Union Gospel Mission everywhere. Everywhere, people. Remember who we are.
Well, when I see beauty in Gastown, I personally see the red brick. It's like the Wizard of Oz. It was almost, the yellow brick road, but it's ours. Ours is red.
The light green trees, and then the green, the ones in front here, right? So if I sit down, I can't catch the full effect.
Let's do a selfie.
What up, bitches? And I'm seeing
I don't know if I exposed that long enough.
It's like the camera.
I used to hang out in there, so I know how to get in there. You go into the park gate, go up to the next floor, get on the elevator, go up a couple floors, and go out the door. Right to the top.
It's interesting when we look back through, where photography's come from and its origins and, where it is today. And even when we go out with film, it turns heads, with film cameras, people are like, oh, what do you, It seems alien or foreign to see.
It's funny how that's changed.
what I like about the Dianic cameras is the same with the Holgas too, is that you can make so many. You're going to make mistakes whether you want to or not. And I think it's really terrific. You know, you accidentally color outside the lines, but then you find better imagery and everything like that.
Chinatown has lots of great texture. Neon lights and old buildings and great back alleys. And a lot of times when we go out and shoot there, because it's after 6, it's quiet.
You know, very different during the day than it is at night, right? So a lot of the vendors move inside, and you know, it's the one spot that, you know, kind of feels closed, but you still see these, you know, illusions that it's open. So like lots of neon, or it's one area in the city where there's lots of layering. So even like the poster poles, or, you know, you'll see fragments of the day's, you know, commerce. So, you know, things that are left out on the street, or layers and layers of paint in the intersections with brick.
Yeah, Chinatown is Chinatown. It's unique. It's the color of Chinatown. You walk by these stores and they have all of their vegetables and their fruits out, and the colors are dazzling. They're just gorgeous. I've taken a lot of photographs. See, when the gates open, have you ever been in there? It's beautiful. I don't understand the languages like Mandarin or that, so I can't read it, and you have all this writing all over the place, and I have no idea what it is. So to me, it's just all this beautiful imagery, right? It's like Italian opera. I love that too. I don't know what they're saying, but I love the way they're saying it.
I love those reflections.
Relax. Tell me when you're ready. There you go.
My hair looks better when it's
Well, you know,
That's ready.
whatever you think is comfortable. And one more.
That's right. These things are fun. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
Henry Cartier-Bresson. I hope I'm saying that right.
Oui.
Anyway,
Oui,
yeah,
oui.
yeah. Anyway, we did a thing on the Masters of Photography, and for what we're doing with the Holgas, it was a perfect influence for our stuff, because he really did some fantastic work with the elements he had, and very simple, but really captured the moment. And I think that really translated into some vision for the people, for our participants this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, Parker Street is one of my favorite spots in the city, because it's home to a lot of artists in their studios, and it's like it spills out of the walls. Like it can't, the creativity in that neighborhood can't be contained.
Yeah, and it changes every year because of that. Like I think this year there was some full-size figure floating in the air in the middle of the building, which is really wild. And of course, right behind Parker Street, there's the train tracks. And we did some great work there with the pinhole cameras last year. I think we might have done some this year too. Okay, and then just let it sit for like a minute, right? So, like count 60 seconds, right? So it's on right now? Okay, yeah, let it sit. Because now it's not moving, right? So that's nice and solid. Go to 90. It's better to be. The community of artists there is contributed to the area with their art, and so all you have to do is point your camera somewhere and get something from it, because they've already worked on it, right?
And also now too, with the different tones and colors.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
like,
the palette changes all the time.
I know. Yeah. It's like real. It's evolving art. It's
and right when we first got there too, super long shadows, like right at that perfect time of day.
And that's so that for people that don't know, it's sort of in East Van, in an industrial area, a lot of shops and things and the train tracks. But yeah.
Yeah, Parker Street's definitely a hidden gem. Like
yeah, a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah, you might not.
And actually, it's not that easy
yeah.
to find because I keep on every time I go there, I get lost. But you know, it's actually really not that. It's pretty central.
Yeah.
It actually brought back memories for me when I was a little boy in Prince Rupert. I used to walk the tracks all the time and seeing these cars, and I used to walk on the rails. And when I was looking at the tracks, it reminded me when I used to put pennies on the track or quarters and wait for the train. I wasn't afraid. I was only like feet away from the train when it went by, and I liked the way the breeze hit my face. And I was looking at the penny, and that's what that brought back for me, was that.
That should be cool. That should be really cool.
So previously throughout Photo 101, you know, you and I have gone away and looked at all of the images captured over the course and then kind of made selections on what we'd love to see as a group art show.
Yeah, we sort of did the curating of it.
Yeah, which has always been really well received and really great as part of the Eastside Culture Crawl, and when you had the mayor come, and really exciting stuff. But this year, we kind of looked at it a little differently. We looked at maybe 3 images for each artist, photographer. Yeah, can we see that one? Oh, that one's so... I know it's a subject we've had before, but it's so different.
Yeah, graphically it's really good, and it's telling a story, right? So. And
then had the group narrow down.
The final picks. Which was a really great idea, I think, for you know, everybody participating, because I know sometimes, you know, not everybody was happy with what we picked in the past, although I always liked it. But,
Here, Alex.
Yeah, some of them have 4, so each page one mark per page.
Alex. I want to see mine.
It's just so hard to make a It's just so hard to make
Okay. And mark.
Yeah, right? I know, that's the thing. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, I think
last night. Oh no.
Oh no, we got a tie.
So that was possible.
Yeah.
And so for Alex, this one was a clear one that resonated with everyone, and it looks like this. Yeah. Looks nice.
I was actually looking at that car I was going to snap off, and then I happened to catch that shot. I was like, hey, I'm going to take a picture of that, and let's see what it'll turn out. And it's something different that I've never done before. And so I snapped it with the one hand. I didn't use 2 hands, and so I snapped it with it. And it turned out really well, so I'm really happy it turned out the way it did.
And Corey.
Here's I'm guessing yes.
Ooh, this.
Yay!
Yeah. Beautiful shot.
I like that.
When it comes to the image, right, and why I took that picture, because it fit. It was interesting because we just talked about color, and we did, you know, and they described how to implement it to your picture. And it, sure as heck, I'm walking in the alley, and I look up, and there's that stairwell, and it just had this nice bright look to it, and then all of a sudden it had like a shaded part too, so it was kind of like half light and partial dark, right? It just looked perfect. And then I thought, double exposure.
Liam, lots of beautiful options, but here's what will be in the show for you. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, I took this image in Chinatown. I saw there was the road sign there, and it said Shanghai Alley. And I love that. That sounds really like film noir. mysterious, like something's afoot, right? Just the very word Shanghai. And I took the picture of the sign. Just before I shot it, I backed off a bit. I didn't want to just have the sign Shanghai, but I wanted to catch a little bit more of what was around it and that. I think I might have captured a little bit too much around the outside.
All right, Loretta. Loretta, there's a split down the middle between this photo.
Yes.
And
the 20 different
this
one.
photo.
I knew it was gonna be that one. I think it was the last alleyway that we were at, and then I was like, I'm gonna put my purse there. I said, I really love my handbag, and it's gonna make a really good picture, right? So, just having the flowers, and it blended in, right? It blended in. So, my niece Justine, she just lost her mom, right? Her mom was a really big part of the community, and I went and helped my niece out to help clean her home because they're having an annual inspection. And I said, oh, sweetie, I just really love this purse. And she was like, it's yours, Auntie. And I'm like, okay. And so when I got to take a picture of it and put it in the flowers, right, because it's so peaceful, it just means a lot more now because, her mom's passed on. And
All right, Sammy.
Sammy's up.
Your shot in the art show is going to be this one. Yeah.
Well, it's just so weird that you mentioned that because I was like, I should have a hard time deciding. That was what I just.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah.
I see Ground Zero in a positive way because it is, after all, Downtown Eastside. But for me, I see as if the building itself is on fire because of the smoke, the old fire escape, as well as across the street is a new building.
But nevertheless, it was a more, it gave a different feel to things for sure. And I really got everybody participating to be involved in that process.
It really becomes something everyone has ownership of.
Yeah, absolutely.
As it comes time to share it with.
And then you really see what impacts people too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I definitely have a really special spot in my heart for the Downtown Eastside. I mean, every day you see big acts of camaraderie and friendship, and there's families there, and there's there's transitions happening there and transformations happening there, and you really get that there's hope there too, and unfortunately it's a really special community that gets misrepresented a lot of the time, and it's hard for them to tell their own story. And
I think we really succeeded in showing the beauty of the area. We weren't showing the what people would typically think of the Downtown Eastside as being.
Some of the most wonderful people in the world I've ever met are on the Downtown Eastside. And another thing that blows me away down here is the amount of creativity. There are so many artists and musicians and actors and dancers down in here, and it's a very strong community. People really stick together. I know there's the bad side of it, right? There's the bad side in any neighborhood you go to. We only see that, but trust me, from people who live down here, it's beautiful. It's a great neighborhood, it really is. I
am inspired by the beauty that we have in the city that others take for granted. It's like the expression of, why not stop and smell the flowers? We do have beauty in the city, and it's not just what we see here, the quietness, the peacefulness of it all. And I know all these have stories that we don't know of, right? So there's a lot of history in that.
Well, the first time I experienced the Downtown Eastside was, whoa, where am I? I thought I was in a different town altogether, because I heard so much about it in the media where it was being portrayed as bad, the war zone. But when I did start coming down here, like on a regular basis, I got to see the good. Everyone in Downtown Eastside makes us into a community. We all have something in common. We all have the same bloodline. It's all red.
When I first moved to the East Side, I pictured a really bad thing, but there's just not bad at all. There's a lot of core value. People here don't have materials or anything like that. They just got each other. When I first got here, I was in the shelter for 6 months when I first got here, and that's when I was heavy into the addiction. But it was unique because I didn't think it would work out, but like people in the shelter, people really took me on now. They really took me on and they helped me, you know, it's pretty cool.
Where I see beauty on the Downtown Eastside is when I go up and we bring my daughter to daycare. So we get up and we're on Hastings and Gore. Everybody's so happy to see us and they're like, good morning. And she's like, good morning, my friends. It gives them like that smile. People are just so friendly. Like, you know, like they're just so friendly to like where we walk. They're really mindful, right? If they're screaming and yelling and cursing, they're like, child on the block, kid on the block, right? And then everybody stops, right? And you know, it's just like I think that has a lot of compassion. You know, like that's what people don't see. You know, they just see, you know, the dirty streets and, you know, like, and they see the people who are struggling, right? That's what they see, right? But, you know, if they walk through and really got to know the community, I think that's the beauty is, you know, the people.
And so to see a group of individuals come together week after week to really share their story and their community and reinterpret it through the lens of what's beautiful or, you know, what moves them is a really special. Yeah, and the goal of Photo 101 was always to just come together. Hopefully we could teach a little bit of, you know, photography basics. But really, all of us would go out into the neighborhood and look for what's beautiful or, you know, what we love or what we want to capture so we can share it.
I learned a number of things about myself there. I learned to enjoy myself amongst other people. I learned how to be actually more patient in certain areas. One of the big things for me with Photo 101 was to be part of something. To be part of another community, everybody with different thoughts, different minds, different lifestyles. And then we get us all together, we're all doing the same thing, we're taking photos.
Okay, you live in Downtown Eastside and you feel down a lot. But sometimes when you get that one thing, like this program, you know, you feel accomplished, you feel included, you feel important. Like no matter what situation you're in, you have to feel important sometimes. You have to feel included and accomplished. And it has all that because you're interacting with other people, you're helping each other.
At the beginning of Photo 101, I was overwhelmed, you know, because, well, meeting people, partaking in a project I never thought I would ever be interested in, but in turn I was. You know, I met so many interesting people along the way.
Anyways, it's a wonderful thing to find that you are this other person at my time in life. The person that you always loved and always admired and always wished you could be like. I want to succeed at this. I love it and I want to be good at it and I want to succeed at it. Worst case scenario is I don't succeed at it, but in the attempt, I will have met incredible people and had a wonderful time and lived in this great world of the artists. That's why I'm so big on the concept of art therapy, is I've seen it work in my own life, and I've seen it work in other people's lives. I mean, like to me, it's a brand new life. And at my age, I mean, this would be wonderful at 18. At my age, it's like, wow, it's great.
What I learned about myself is that I can do it, right? Like, for my learning experience is like, I always go halfway. So this one was asking for help and not to be so hard on myself, and that I completed it. I was successful, right? And if it wasn't for you guys doing this program, right, and having us to come in and take part of it, you know, I probably wouldn't have been able to experience it. So, you know, you guys gave a lot of your heart and what you loved, you shared.
Photo 101 really challenges the stereotypical idea people have about the Downtown Eastside, which is what I love about it. This irreverent look at, you know, you may have heard this about the community, but let me show you what's beautiful or why I love living here, or you know, what gets me excited.
For sure, I'd live there if I wasn't living in Burnaby with my kids, but you know.